YouTube? This is yours truly, Adre the Plug, reporting live with some more technical heat. Make sure y'all hit that subscribe button below. Make sure y'all hit that bell below so y'all can stay notified every single time I drop new technical heat. But let's get into it, man. Let's jump right back into these interviews. I just finished a whole bunch of sponsorship product videos, so definitely go check all of those out. Some of them I never even seen in person, so I thought it was really dope. And then on top of that, also did a couple of electronic projects, so definitely go check out those previous videos I did. But now I'm about to jump right back into my interview videos where I interview different people all across the country. Let's get into it. Roll the clip.
Hi, everyone. My name is Linda Hall, and I'm originally from Manassas, Virginia. I currently attend The Ohio State University as a master's student in the welding engineering department. And I'm also a flight student, and I fly out of the Ohio State Airport, working on my private pilot. And eventually, my dream job is to be a test pilot or a flight test engineer.
Okay, Linda, so what made you pick aerospace as a major specifically?
So I chose this field because I really have a passion for aerospace and like experimental vehicles and spaceships and everything like that. So typically, test piloting and flight test engineering feeds into the space industry. And as a welding engineer, Ohio State is the only university right now in the United States that has a welding engineering program. So I chose a welding engineering program because I had freedom in whatever research project that I wanted to, and I could feed in the material science and metallurgy that comes with welding engineering into aerospace.
Okay, so what do you feel is the biggest benefit when it comes down to being in this field?
So basically, the biggest benefit of being in this field is that since my major is so rare and there are not many welding engineers like around, when I do go to apply for certain job recs, I'm sought out because I chose such a specialized program. And to further that, my specialization is NDE, and that's non-destructive evaluation. And NDE is extremely important in aerospace because you don't want to have to take apart your airplane or rocket or the engine to say to see if there's anything wrong with it. We have technology to where we can inspect things without having to destroy it. And I think that's very valuable to the aerospace industry, which is why I'm really happy to be here.
Okay, Linda, so what's something that you did not expect jumping into this field?
Something that I didn't expect from this field was actually the lack of welding in the program. So there's a difference between like a welding technician and a welding engineer. Typically, technicians are the people who are doing the welds, and the engineers are more sort of like a project manager. So we have to know the science behind the actual process instead of actually knowing how to do the process. And so there comes to be some certain questions or like certain situations where I would need to know the knowledge of the actual process of the welding, but because I myself am not a welder and I can only tell you like the equations and the specs behind it, there is a little bit of a disconnect. So coming into it, I did expect to do some welding, but I really haven't done much. It's just been a lot of material science and metallurgy.
All right, Linda, tell the people the background. What actually got you into wanting to fly planes?
So basically, what got me into flying was when I was a little kid, my grandmother would take me to the Air Force, Andrews Air Force Base air show. And I remember seeing like all, the airplanes and like the military planes and stuff. And I asked my grandma, like, can I be a pilot? And she was like, yeah, you can be a pilot, totally. So I was like, okay, cool. So I proceeded to get my bachelor's in aeronautics at Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University in Daytona Beach, Florida. I did not fly there because it's very expensive. So I waited until after graduation, and now I'm working on my private with basically the program is called a Part 61 program, which you form your own schedule and you kind of pay as you go, versus a 141 program would be like a university based program that has like a set schedule and like a set curriculum for those students. And it is a little bit more rigorous, but it can be more expensive because you have to have the money up front. And so essentially, when it comes into test piloting, most companies that are recruiting for test pilots are looking for not only hours, but also a commercial license, and then an engineering degree of some sort, which is where my engineering master's comes in. And then now, once I complete my flight training, then I can move on to that. Now, let's say something tragic happens and like I lose an arm or something like that. I'm still an engineer. I'll still have a job even if it's not flying. So, kind of giving myself some safety catches just in case. But plan A is definitely test piloting.
Okay, Linda, so what's your take on being a black woman in the STEM field?
My experience as a Black woman in STEM has honestly been pretty positive. I have a lot of other fellow Black women who are pilots and engineers and scientists. And then as well, my fellow brothers, like y'all in there too. So, I feel extremely supported in my group. Obviously, on like internships and visiting different companies and stuff, I do stand out because there are times when I am the only Black woman or the only Black person. But I definitely don't kind of keep that chip on my shoulder. I know that I belong there, because I've worked hard to be there, and not just because of some certain stereotype or like diversity and inclusion clause. I genuinely belong where I am. And that's something that I wish for all Black individuals, male, female, anything in between and on the outside. Know that you worked hard to be where you are, and you absolutely deserve the career that you're going for. So try to maintain a positive attitude, even if the people around you don't look like you. And you'll definitely reap those fruits from your positivity.
All right, Linda, so can you break down to the people exactly what welding engineering is?
Yeah, so welding engineering basically encompasses the engineering and the science behind the welding process, rather than the actual, like, I am the welder, I'm welding together plates and cars and airplanes. I have done some welding projects where I am acting as the welder, but mostly it's like perimeter development. You need to know some material science, some like metallurgy science, just basically knowing what kind of materials work well together. Um, and then also that feeds into the process. So do you want like a laser welding process? Do you want a friction stir welding process? All of that goes into basically like what a welding engineer will give to a tech to say, this material needs this amount of strength. I suggest you use this material if you need it to be aluminum, steel, titanium, any kind of alloy. That's kind of where the engineering point comes in. And then even more uniquely, within welding engineering, there is kind of a division called NDE, or non-destructive evaluation, which is basically when you're able to evaluate welds or materials in general, to just see what kind of defects. Is there a delamination in this airfoil? Are there pits in your weld? We're able to detect those things using technology. So specifically, I'm learning about ultrasound, so micro resolution ultrasound and phased array immersion ultrasound, and also some thermography work that I've been doing as well, where you can take these like scans and pictures of parts and basically see like what are the layers that are making up this. And then on the other side, there is destructive evaluation, where you are kind of tearing things apart. Maybe you're using some kind of chemical to decay a material. All that sounds really fun, but that's not what I'm learning about right now. So I'm hoping that my NDE experience will definitely help me in a test pilot environment, because I will understand how these materials are working that do come together to make an airplane. So example, my thesis is just a comparison of ultrasound and flash thermography on aerospace composite materials, where I'm looking at panels from a Cirrus aircraft, and taking those scans and those pictures to see, okay, what is a better inspection process for this specific material? So if I'm in an aircraft and, you know, maybe a rock hits something, I can kind of expect or know how I can evaluate is this part of the plane still good? I know I can use X-ray, or I can use phased array, or I can use like a contact ultrasound of some sort. So I feel like knowing those processes will definitely help me kind of know my machine better, and also like what makes up the machine too.
So, Linda, you had mentioned that it's a lot of different ways for you to get your advanced degree paid for. So, can you touch on that a little bit more?
Yeah, so basically, there are a lot of ways where you can get your advanced degree paid for. And I mean, there are ways that you can get your undergrad paid for, but it is slightly easier to get a graduate degree essentially for free. So there's two ways. You can have like a GRA, which is a graduate research assistantship, or a GTA, which is a graduate teaching assistantship. But however, I'm on GRA. And then also you can get a fellowship. So basically, for a GRA, you are interviewed as basically like you're applying for a job. So this is an application in addition to your admission application. You need to reach out to your advisor who you want to work with and ask them, are you hiring GRAs for your program and for your research? That's really the first step. You need to make that contact with an advisor that you're interested in, and then you kind of go from there. And then once you submit all of your credentials and things to get admitted into the program, it will also be evaluated for a GRA. Or on the other side, it can be evaluated for a fellowship. And a very popular fellowship for minority students is the GEM, which I'm a proud associate GEM fellow. And through that fellowship, I got my first year of grad school paid for. And not only is your school fully funded, but you also get a stipend as well. So that's why I'm like, it's kind of like a job, because sure, you have a certain amount of hours that you're doing research a week, but at the end of the month you get that monthly stipend if you worked a little bit or a lot of it. Obviously you want to work a lot of it because you don't want to be in school all your life, but pretty much through fellowships and through GRAs, you do research for the university or you do research for a company that's funding your fellowship, and then boom, there you have it. You have your master's for free, and you didn't really have to work outside of being in school. School is your job. And that could be really beneficial for a lot of people, because some people are like, oh, I have to take out loans to get my master's or to get my PhD, and not necessarily. You just need to reach out to the university and ask about these programs. And then also, as far as fellowships, a lot of like research labs, like Sandia National Lab, they have graduate research assistantships and fellowships. NASA is a big fellowship passer outer. So any company that you're interested in, also reach out to them to see what kind of programs they have for grad students, even if you don't work there, because research is essentially what fuels innovation. So it's a little bit of cheap labor for them to pay you like, $30,000 a year to, do some research for them. But that also opens up doors for job opportunities. And then, I mean, a free degree. So yeah, I highly recommend, if you want to go for any sort of STEM degree, I really encourage you to reach out to your departments and see what kind of GRAs or fellowships they have that you could fit into.
All right, Linda. So, when it comes down to being a pilot, what would you say is the hardest thing when it comes down to flying a plane in the sky?
I would say probably the hardest part about flying is just understanding that the plane wants to fly. You aren't necessarily making the plane itself fly, but once you are in the air, it's basically, the plane is like, okay, I like this position that I'm in. If it's climbing, descending, if it's straight and level, and you're basically like coaxing the aircraft to, you're manipulating it to do what you want it to do, but the plane's going to fly. You're not going to fall out of the sky unless something drastic happens. And so I think in understanding that, you learn to not over control the plane, have a sort of like loose grip on the yoke. Don't rely on like, trying to fight the airplane. Let it fly. Use your trim, use your rudders, but don't fight the plane. The plane wants to fly regardless. So somebody who hasn't flown before, that probably could be an issue for them, is trying to over control the aircraft, but it's not necessary. It's designed to be up there. It loves to be up there. So yeah, don't fight it. Embrace the plane if you want to go into flight training.
All right, Linda. So, what's some additional things that you'll want the people to know about you?
Yeah, so something that I would want people to know about me is that I really love traveling. My ultimate goal is to travel to 50 countries before I'm 50, and I just reached my 11th country in December, which I also think is kind of impressive because I didn't get my passport until I was 21. So another fun fact about me. But that was also something that really drew me to aviation because usually you are traveling when you're flying airplanes, right? Like you're not going up the street. So my favorite country so far has been Greece, and I've been all over Greece. I've been to Athens. I've been to like 6 or 7 islands in the Cyclades, and I've also been to the mountains, which a lot of people haven't been to the mountains in Greece, and I highly, highly recommend it. It's a nice break from like just the beach and like the white buildings. There's a whole other culture in the mountains. And then also I love the Caribbean. I've traveled there the most. I've been to the Bahamas, I've been to Trinidad, and I've also been to the Caribbean coast of Costa Rica. uh, and again, just very rich in culture, and I love the food, I love the music. So yeah, definitely traveling. And then I also really like anime. In my free time when I'm not studying or like hanging out with my friends or something. That's a great pastime of mine. It's easy, it's cheap, and I get to watch some good stuff. So yeah.
All right, Linda. So, what's your contact information for the people that may have more questions about welding engineering, or even want to keep up with you as far as the pilot life and how to fly planes?
So you guys can find me on LinkedIn, Linda Hall. There aren't too many Black Linda Halls on LinkedIn, so I'm pretty sure you could find me very easily. But obviously, I'll have Ohio State in my LinkedIn, so that's how you know you got the right one. If you want just some more like personalized and like lifestyle content, you can find me on Instagram at Splenda with an underscore and 2 A's. And then, yeah, for some more like pilot content, school content, you can also find me at Fly Girl Linda.
And that concludes this video. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. It really do help my channel when it comes down to the YouTube algorithm. If you guys have any questions regarding anything, just hit me up on Instagram, hit me up on the gram at DreThePlug123. And then also go check out my other YouTube channel. This is actually my second channel. My first one was called Andre Classic Cuts. I basically go in and give tutorials about all types of different haircuts. I actually show people how to do different type of things with the clippers that has never been done. And I pretty much go into detail as to why certain things happen. So definitely go check out that channel. Besides that, be on the lookout for my next content that's dropping. Be on the lookout for it because it's coming real soon. And I'm out.